I'm back, everyone. So, yeah, before this episode of Warframe's ins and outs about Baruuk, let me explain. My new power supply for my computer, for my graphics card, came a little bit faster than I thought it would. I'm very happy about that. So, I'm fully operational again. I'm still super glad there was only the power supply and nothing else. But today, we are going to be talking about everyone's favorite monk with a serious anger issues, Baruuk, who is honestly becoming one of my favorite frames to play because he is a lot of fun, and the way I built him, I think, is a very good build, even though he uses no forma at all. You'd be surprised how little forma a lot of frames need. Some don't even need any. It's going to be the exact same thing when I talk about Ember, which will be the exact next video, because I've been meaning to talk about these two for a long time. Anyway, let's get into it. So, alright. His passive. So basically, when you use his abilities, when you sleep enemies, disarm them, or dodge projectiles with his one, which I've demonstrated so on this channel, so I'm not going to do it, just for time, you erode his restraint, which allows you to use his 4. Now, additionally, once it's fully eroded, he has 50% damage reduction just passively, which is great. Alright, let's talk about lull. So lull will put enemies to sleep. Now, with this build, 36 meters of range is a lot, and enemies are open to finishers when they are put to sleep. That is awesome. Also, this will destroy your restraint really fast, so spamming lull is not a bad idea, and enemies that are asleep can't do anything. Also, when enemies wake up, they will basically ignore you if you're not anywhere near them. So it's kind of amnesia, which is cool, but they're not going to wake up because you can just kill them. Anyway, so before I move on, let me actually show you his build first. So this is the build I'm running. I'm also running Reactive Storm. I will talk a little bit more about this when I actually get there. I have Arcane Grace on here because why not? And plus adaptation, he's very tanky. Now, you could put a single forma and max out vitality, or do something other like that. You could put a forma here to put on Steel Charge, which will boost his 4 damage, but it doesn't really matter. Arcane Pistolier is just on here for memes, because it's actually a really cool arcane. I will do a video on Titania Prime and Arcane Pistolier and how that interacts, and it's honestly a lot of fun. This is not maxed out yet, but it will be. Anyway, take note that duration is slightly less and power strength is heavy. So efficiency, forget about it. He does not need efficiency. None at all. You can put in efficiency if you want your build, but a little bit of range and power strength are the most important things on Baruuk. Anyway, let's show off his 2. So all I need to do is spawn in these enemies. The level does not matter, and I go near them and I press 2. And then they start to slow down, and they will be put to sleep. Now, like this, finishers can be done to them, but they will wake up once finishers have been done to them if they don't die. But then you can just sleep them again. Now, if you have a dedicated melee weapon that is very strong with finishers, then, yeah, it's going to be a lot more effective. But you can see how fast that this destroys his restraint. And yeah, it slows enemies down and everything. And they do take stealth damage. So keep that in mind. They do, in fact, take stealth damage like this. So it is very potent. And all you need to do is keep spamming this ability, and they really can't do anything to you. And of course, something like the hate is going to do a lot of damage to them. Anyway, that's basically his 2. Yeah, I don't have a finisher build on the hate, but rest assured it is definitely a very powerful melee weapon. Anyway, let's talk about his 3. Also, yes, I do have his Tennogen, the newest Tennogen, which looks very nice. Anyway, So his 3, Desolate Hands. So he spawns a bunch of daggers. Yeah, they're daggers. Some people call them different things, but now these will destroy enemy weapons, but they will also attach themselves to your teammates and give them some damage reduction. Now, once you have about 10 of these, you will have about 90% damage reduction. I have 16 because I have 204% power strength. Don't really worry about that. The main utility of this is, since enemies will have their guns destroyed, and we already talked about his 2, they're not going to be able to do anything to you. Now, melee enemies will be staggered. It doesn't disarm melee enemies, but it staggers them. Something fierce. And low-level enemies will straight up die from the 510 explosive damage, blast damage. So let's actually show that off. And you can recast this whenever. So you get these orbiting you. I don't have any teammates, so I can't show you that they will, in fact, launch themselves off of you and right to your teammates. So when the enemies get close enough, they will slowly but surely destroy all their weapons. At least it's supposed to destroy the weapons. Is it just bugged and it looks like they still have their guns? Yeah. Yeah, it's just bugged. But rest assured their guns are being destroyed. So that's basically it. And it does destroy his restraint as well. So that's awesome. Now we have to talk about his 4. I'm not going to talk about his 1 because I really don't care about it. You do this and enemies can't shoot you. So now I've talked about his 4 before, but I now understand how his 4 augment works. Now the status chance for attack to storm there 500%. Don't shit yourself. That's a lie. It's actually only 118%. Only 118%. But this is the build, 0 forma. Now, the last time I talked about his 4, I made the mistake by saying condition overload is not as good as prime pressure point. No. Condition overload is better. It always will be better. Here's why. Okay. So essentially, you have impact damage here, but you also have heat and viral with this build, alright? So, that's already 3 status types towards condition overload. Instantly better. Just 2 status types, instantly better. Anyway, so, how this works is when you hit enemies with Baruuk's fists themselves. Not the waves, the fists. I wish it was the waves. And I also wish he could use a combo counter. It will adjust its damage type to the enemy's weakness. So if you're going against Corpus, it will most likely do magnetic or slash. I've also seen toxin, but it's kind of rare. If you hit an enemy with alloy armor, you'll be doing radiation damage. And this apparently can stack quite a lot and get a lot of different resistances. So if you're going against infested, you're most likely going to see a bunch of gas ticks and a lot of slash procs. So let me actually erode his restraint and let me show you this. So these are corrupted heavy gunners. So they are going to be weak against corrosive, and without any armor they'd be weak against viral and slash. So I'm going to have to spawn these enemies in several times for this. And I'm going to have to redo this. I'm just going to spawn in 20 of them because why the fuck not? Anyway. I'm just going to get my restraint down really low until I'm satisfied. I'm actually just going to delete all my restraint. So there is that. Alright, so one more of these and it should be all gone. 36 meters of range is definitely a lot. Now there is also the Endless Lullaby augment that will definitely make you able to sleep the entire map over and over and over again. Why does it do this? Just let me spawn in the fucking enemies. I might actually jump into a mission and show Baruuk at his fullest. So, okay. So right now, okay, so I'm also doing corrosive. Look how fast this kills. Heat, corrosive, and viral all at the same time. You also have this combo, which is the block, stand, still combo, which will pull enemies towards you, so it's very, very nice. You also have the block, move forward combo, which lifts enemies into the air. You have the move forward combo. Stand still combo. Look how much damage I'm hitting. Orange crits will do about 100,000 damage. And also, there's the slide attack. Also, you sleep the enemies. And then it does stealth damage. Or it appears to. It appears to do a lot more damage when the enemies are asleep. Your finishers also do a decent amount of damage. But yeah, Baruuk doesn't play around. His 4 was always decent, but it didn't feel as powerful as it should. But now it definitely does. Also, by the way, right now I would have damage reduction. The enemies would be put to sleep a lot of the time because I use this 2 a lot. So Baruuk, even though he does not have a high health pool, is not going to die at all. So I am actually going to go ahead and jump into a solo mission and show you Baruuk in an actual scenario, because I'm sure this is something that a lot of people would want me to do and not just do in the simulacrum. I'm going to do Elite Sanctuary Onslaught, and here's why. Because Baruuk is actually good at it. So this isn't exactly like a 100% real world mission, but there's not really any interesting missions right now. There's no Void Fishers that I would like to do. So you just activate his 3, then you activate his 2 near enemies, and then basically just play normally until you have your restraint down, then you can use his 4. Obviously, you don't have to use his 4. Also, he's very good at Sanctuary Onslaught because his restraint does not go away when you move on to another location. And yeah, the Hate Scythe is just very, very powerful. My Karak is very powerful. Oh, that's a Nox. Okay, I think it's about time for me to do this. Noxes, of course, are very, very, very tanky, so... Okay, you see I'm doing radiation, viral, and also heat every now and then once it procs. Now, if you have about 250-ish% power strength, you're going to have way more status chance than me. Of course, more power strength, more status chance, but it doesn't honestly matter too much. Energy can be a bit of an issue, especially if you use the powers a lot, like you kind of have to, but not really. So yeah, 36 meters of range, definitely a good radius. I'll do a couple zones. I won't do this forever. I should probably pick up some of these efficiency stimuluses, why not? So yeah, over 100% status chance. I'm hitting multiple status procs in the same enemy. And you can see there, I am doing a heap ton of damage. Honestly, against certain enemies, I average about 200,000 damage. And it appears you can headshot with his waves. It just doesn't always happen. Also, his waves go through walls and other objects. I also forgot about his slam attack. So if you block and slam, you'll pull enemies towards you. But if you don't block, you'll push enemies away from you. But it won't matter because they're dead. Okay, there's a group of enemies. So basically, you see a group of enemies, press 2. It's Nox is getting his shit kicked in. Radiation, viral, heat. All things that Nox does not like. Because if you didn't know, Noxes have alloy armor. And damage reduction, that's why they are so freaking tanky. Okay. Now we can go to a new area. Enemies will spawn in. It's Corpus, okay. Oh no, it's corrupted. Alright. That's good too. So now I should be also proccing Magnetic and maybe Slash. If his fist procs Slash, my goodness. You see there, okay, now I'm proccing Magnetic. This is why Condition Overload is so fucking powerful. Because the amount of status procs is just ridiculous. If you build Baruuk only to do heavy attacks, I would say Prime Pressure Point is a good choice. But if you build Baruuk to do it like this, then Condition Overload is the better choice. But Condition Overload is a pain in the ass to get your hands on. Keep in mind that he is still vulnerable to knockdowns. So Prime Sure-Footed, if you really want to, you could put that on, but I'm not going to. I think I have it. I probably do. Actually, no, I don't. I just remembered. Okay. So yeah, you get the point. These are fairly high-level enemies, and I am... How high level? Yeah, level 70. That's decently leveled. Also, since you are putting the enemies to sleep a lot, you can see even the Ancients get put to sleep. You can revive your teammates and everything very, very easily. And yeah, the damage on his fists is quite large. Quite a lot of damage. But again, do not rely on one ability when it comes to Warframes. I don't really like Warframes that do that, but Baruuk, his entire kit's good. I'd say his one isn't that great, but it can be very useful if you need to revive a teammate in a pinch or something like that, if you just want to erode his restraint or something. And yeah, the enemies don't really have a choice. Okay. So yeah, I'm going to just end the video after this because this is going on a very long time. I just wanted to show Baruuk in sort of an area where there's a lot of enemies, and you can erode his restraint while in his 4. So you can stay in his 4 for basically ever, which is really nice. So yeah, you pull the enemies towards you. I'm hitting really high level of damage. And yeah. A Radiant Relic, I don't give 2 fucks about. Thank you, Samaris. Can I please get the mod that makes enemies like inflate or put flowers on them? Peculiar Bloom. Whatever. Can you even get those anymore? Okay, so there is that. So that's Baruuk. He is fantastic. He's honestly just so fantastic. Was his augment 100% necessary for his 4? I would say no. They could have just added that to his 4 innately. But the augment is definitely a good thing for Baruuk. So again, let me show you his build, and I'll also re-show you my deserts, my 4 build, my Serene Storm build. So yeah, this is it. 0 Forma, absolutely no Forma needed. If you don't have Transient Fortitude, you don't really need it. You could put something else in, but minus duration isn't bad because of how his 2 works. So you can spam his 2 a little bit faster. Anyway, so this is my Desert Wind build. So it is basically just a fuck ton of damage and critical chance and status with Berserker, Condition Overload. Now you could be thinking, well, why not like Primed Fever Strike? I'd say no. Why? Less status chance. You want to throw on as much status as you want. So with this build, 91% status is a lot. Anyway, this is 0 Forma. I thought I would have to put a Forma into this, but no, it comes with the right polarities. I never thought I'd be happy to see a D polarity, but North Wind is good. So that's Baruuk. None of these mods here, except for Condition Overload, are a pain in the ass to get your hands on. These mods here, these 2 right here, you can get these in Spy Vaults. Pretty but I'd say easily, but yeah, just go for them. And virulent scores you get from Corruptivore in the Void. Condition Overload, go to Ophelia on Uranus. That's survival mission there. Bring Necros, bring an entire crew there, maybe even a Luke Korra, and just pray. So there is that. You could say, oh, put quite a few form into it, put Sacrificial Steel and Sacrificial Pressure. You could, if you really, really wanted to. What would you get out of that if you put both these on here? Well, you get a shit ton of crit. So there is that. If you want to do that, you can. Honestly, though, it don't matter. Will I do it eventually? Maybe. But I don't know. Anyway. That's Baruuk. He is so good and so much fun and so versatile. You'd think he wouldn't be that versatile. You'd think he'd be like, oh, he basically uses 4. But no. Every single ability that he has works very well with each other. And not to mention the team synergy. If you have a squishy team member, like someone's playing Banshee, by the way, him plus Banshee is terrifying. I don't need to explain why. Then they will have damage reduction because of his 3, which is fantastic. He is one of those frames that gives everyone damage reduction. Not a lot of frames do that. Trinity does it, Nezha can do it, and he can do it, and I think that's kind of it. Would it be nice if he could heal teammates with his 2? Maybe that's an augment one day. That would be awesome. Maybe like for every enemy slept, put to sleep, he heals set amount of damage for set amount of time. That'd be awesome. But we'll just wait and see until what other augments he gets. So for now, that's Baruuk. Ember will be next. I will do her ins and outs right after this video. Next time I upload. So in a few days. So I'm back. Finally. It's great. Thank you guys so much for watching. And remember, in Trilby, we trust.